Not yet. Now we are.
Oh, now we're live.
Yeah, now we're live. You got to hit the button and then you got to wait for a second for it to do the thing. Hi, friends.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi. Hi. I have my coffee. It's like it's the afternoon for you. It's like I just woke up. I rolled out of bed. I got coffee.
Because you live in Narnia.
I know.
No, I live far more in Narnia. Well, actually, Anna, I think, is our Narnia of the
that
group.
is correct.
Yeah. Because I just live in the Midwest, and that's like, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
In Narnia, here in Narnia, we don't have great internet.
No. It's coming soon, though, supposedly.
for the last couple of years, right?
That's what they said. But oh my god, wait. Sorry, speaking of Narnia, I was at trivia. I do trivia on Tuesdays. And
of course you do.
They would do like a brain buster question. Yeah, of course I do. They do. There's something to do in Narnia, okay?
To be clear, I mean that as a compliment, and I mean it with genuine love.
For sure. As in, like, I'm jealous and I should go look for one here. There's plenty.
It's fun. And they do a brain buster round each time where they just give one hint at the end of each round, and whoever gets it first, who's ever able to guess it first, wins. Like, it's really just like beer swag because they get sponsors. So I've got a lot of like really stupid t-shirts.
Yeah, and like you get more points, right, if you guess it early or something. Isn't that? I've seen rounds like that. Oh, her internet has a lag.
Okay. So, sorry, I had to talk to Aslan. So there was a brainbuster that was like, I am a country, and then it was like the flag is. It was something like it had, but all I remember is that it had a lion on it, and we couldn't think of a flag that was like what it was. And these were like the two clues, and my friend Zoe just goes, "Put Narnia."
Hello to San Francisco.
Yes, hello. It's all good. We changed it from the bad internet to the worst internet. I didn't see that till now.
Very well done.
That was good. Okay, so the flag of Narnia has a lion on it. Got it. That's this.
Yeah, I think that's where we went.
That's the TLDR of that.
So, Nikki, you recently got to go to the Universal thing, yeah?
Yeah. So
I want to hear all about this.
Yeah, and there was a notice, or there was an email that went out recently that they're going to do it again next year. I don't know what fandoms they're going to do next year, but I do hope they do a continuation of Back to the Future. So I'll talk a little bit about it. So at Universal Studios, they usually will do Halloween Horror Nights, which is usually like after park hours. Same thing like Disneyland will do that sometimes. So they decided to do these fan fest nights and basically focus on different IPs that have really strong fandoms, I believe, and are cult followings and things like that. So they had Back to the Future. The reason originally that we went, Randy and I went, was because they had a Star Trek exhibit. They did D&D, which was actually cool, and I'll talk about that. Anna, you'll love it. They had like an anime, a Japanese anime or something, and they had like one or two other things. And then like Harry Potter did something, a Harry Potter World did something, and there was like one or two other things that were normally at Universal that did like an evening different item. So I'll talk about the Star Trek thing first, and then I'll talk about the things that I liked and didn't like. So the Star Trek, the big selling point of the Star Trek exhibit was that they had the set of the Enterprise D that was filmed during season 3 of Picard. And so that was like a huge draw for everybody. So they had in one of the like areas or whatever, they had like built out this immersive experience is what I want to call it, because it wasn't really a ride. Think of the Star Trek experience in Las Vegas when they had it at the hotel minus the ride part. It was very similar to that. So you walk in and you're at the Federation Starfleet Port of Los Angeles, and their shuttles supposedly leaving on a regular schedule. You're going to the Fleet Museum to go see the Enterprise D, because now it has been redone. It is at the Fleet Museum. You can go see it, right? So you're in a shuttlecraft, which is really just a waiting area. You're just like waiting until you get called in. And you walk in, and it's the cargo bay. Now, I will say this: Paramount should take some notes, because Universal did a damn good job of the set design. We walked in, and immediately there are the blue barrels, the yellow barrels, the lines and grids, and everything that looks like a shuttle bay. Like, it was phenomenal. And of course, one of my first comments when I saw the barrels, I was like, look, Worf's biggest nemesis.
You say, watch out, Worf.
Yeah. So
I was going to say the same thing. It was like,
it's so funny. So you go in, and they did hire actors to play different parts. They're dressed up in uniforms. They did a great job of having it be very diverse in the Star Trek world. There was Vulcans, there were Andorians, there was an Orion, there was a Bajoran. That was very, very cool. So you walk in, and you're in the shuttle bay, and they start like a tour, right? Like a tour guide. And then something happens, and I don't want to spoil it because I don't know if they're going to do it again, but like something happens, and all of a sudden it's a yellow alert and it's a problem. And they're like, okay, well, we don't know what we're supposed to do, and you're supposed to be decontaminated anyway since you're coming from Earth, so we're going to send you to sick bay. So you like walk through the little corridor to the next room, and there's sick bay. And they did a very good job of making it look like it in a smaller set version. And they had a Trill as the medical officer, and they start trying to they're getting ready to do the tour, but then the yellow alert's still going. And then they're like, oh my gosh, our comm badges aren't working, even to the point that I had this comm badge on at one point, because we went through like 4 or 5 times. And the person asked me, they're like, oh my gosh, is your comm badge working? And I'm like, no, unless you're queer. Sorry, it's just not working. Like, whatever.
That's
and so they're like, I know, it's hilarious. And so they're like, okay, I can't solve this problem, but if anyone can solve this problem, engineering can solve this problem. So we're going to send you to engineering. That makes no sense, but sure. Okay. So you walk through like another little corridor, and they made it look like a corridor. It was really well done. Even to the point like the L cars, or so you would have loved it. The L cars on the walls, the little deck numbers and the room numbers and stuff, and how those are on it was so good. I mean, down to the little detail. So you go in, and there's engineering, and they had it's a miniature version of engineering. They had the warp core on the one side, the big screen on the wall on the other side, and then the table in the front. And there were 2 people, and they were trying to figure out how to solve the problem. And they're like, this is getting worse. The energy is draining. We don't know. Then all of a sudden the smoke goes, and they're like, the warp core, I don't know. It's like a melt, whatever. And then they're like, we could have a warp core breach. Oh my gosh, you have to get off. You got to get off the ship. So they send us to the turbo lift. Now the turbo lift, they weirdly explained it in the beginning that there were upgrades made to the Enterprise D, including that the turbo lifts are bigger. They didn't need to do that, but sure. Okay. So you're in this turbo lift, and there's a person in the turbo lift acting and trying to get you to where you need to go. They're trying to send you back to the shuttle bay, supposedly.
Yeah. But
of course, the turbo lift acts up, and they're asking the computer, computer, where are you taking us? Not here. No. And so all of a sudden you see it's going up, and then you see it's going sideways, and you see it's going up again. And I will say, one of the times we walked through, the person acting, it was a woman, it was a Vulcan. And she walked up to the panel to hit the buttons, and she turned because nothing happened. The computer wouldn't react. And she turned, and she raised one eyebrow perfectly and goes, fascinating. And I was I don't think anybody else saw that except Randy and I, because we were perfectly positioned to see her do it. And I was like, oh my God, this person is either a fan or they did their homework as an actor. And I was very impressed. So then, of course, you open up and they're on the bridge of the Enterprise D. And they like shuffle you in very quickly. And I will say the fact that they move you through very fast bothered me because I was so overwhelmed the first time. I was like, this is the actual set. Like they filmed here. Oh my gosh, da da da. Like my girl G was on the, oh my God, like it was the whole thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, so every single time we went through, we always stood behind the horseshoe because they basically made it, you couldn't go onto the part of the bridge with the chairs. You could only be on the circle, on the horseshoe portion of the circle.
Yeah.
So we were like, well, we're going to stand behind the horseshoe because there's stuff to touch then. Now,
Right.
were we supposed to touch it? I have no idea. We didn't care half the time. We just touched everything, right? Even like I turned around, the science panels, that clearly you could tell was the set piece. The only thing that was different was obviously the carpet. So, you know, Liz would be happy that her carpet is not messed up.
Of course.
And then
very important.
and then they changed the gradient of the angle of the horseshoe going down because it's not ADA compliant in the actual show.
Yep.
So they changed that. That was it. Everything else, as far as I know, was the actual set pieces. It was beautiful looking and down to the little detail. And then here's the thing. I don't really remember all of what the story was that was happening on the bridge with all the actors. Also, shout out to Yvette. I think it's Yvette's nephew. He was one of the actors on the bridge. I think he was a Vulcan. He did a great job. We saw him.
So
he was like right in front of us.
Oh my God.
I know the
I've met him before.
Yeah. Yeah, the Blurred 1701 is his podcast, I believe. So it was like this, so because it was so overwhelming.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. Like
so good.
Yeah. And so I vaguely know the general of what happens in the story and how they ended it. And of course, it's a good ending. But I have no recollection of the specifics. I think I videotaped it, so I'm gonna have to. But no recollection at all of that because it was just so overwhelming of like, oh my God, I'm on the bridge. Like it was so cool. And then they exit you out the like front turbo lifts, supposedly, and you walk through like a shower of fog and they like shimmer on it and then they have the transporter sound and then you're back in the real world. Like that's how they ended it.
That's very good.
And like the thing that I loved about it was the level of detail that they used for the set design. Like, again, clearly the bridge was the only actual piece, but the rest of it, I don't know if they just did such a great job of recreating or they pulled it from archives or something. Like, I don't actually know. And again, some of the actors were spot on. So they did it so well. Some of them, they were fine. They did a good job. But again, they like rushed you through because it's supposed to be a red alert. So you're supposed to go through kind of fast. One, they need the next round of people to go through. I was going to
say it's very convenient from a business point of view too, right?
To like get the people to go through the experience. So we went through at least 4 times, if not 5 times. The first time I went through, it was literally like just to have the experience. And Randy was with me and my friend Jess was with me. And yeah, that's when I was like, oh my God, where do I look? I don't know where to look. Everything's here. I don't know. Like, and then we went through another time and I was dressed in my Don't Kink Shame Nana shirt and my blue sweater that looks like a medical jacket. Mm-hmm. And that's when we did, we started to do some photos and sneakily do photos because they move you through so fast that like you don't have time to really interact with the stuff that's there. Right. So we tried to like sneakily do some photos or whatever. We went through like 1 or 2 more times. We changed our outfits. I don't want to spoil what that was, but it's definitely something that we will announce soon later, not today, but and then for Vegas, we did some photos for Vegas. But by the 4th time we went through, we didn't, excuse my language, we didn't give a fuck
Of course.
We were like, we're taking all the photos. We don't care anymore. So we would go through and the people would be like, okay, it's a red alert. You need to move along. And we're like, yeah, sure, no problem. We're just gonna do this photo right here. Like, it's fine, it's fine.
And we trust Starfleet. Y'all are gonna handle it. It's gonna be fine.
It's gonna be fine. Like, it's fine. Even to the point that in the like shuttle bay, we were like all over those barrels taking photos, and one of the crew that were just standing around started laughing at us. Either he was a fan or something, but like some of them found it hilarious that we were just being total nut jobs, running around, taking photos, being fun, and all kinds of disruption, sort of trying not to disrupt everybody. But it was fun. Like that part was really, really fun. And then they had one of the eating places that's normally there at Universal. They decked it out like Quark's Bar, which was really cool. They had different drinks. They had different food. Then there was another section that they set up like a 10 forward, like the 10 forward bar from Picard, right? Mm-hmm. So they had the sign. They had a few pieces that were originally from filming, but not the actual bar set piece.
Yeah.
Again, they had different drinks. They did set it up like like you were on a holodeck, and it was the 10 forward bar, which was kind of cool. And I didn't notice it at first until Randy pointed it out, that he was like, do you see the like disruption on the brick wall? There's the black and yellow grid. I went, oh. So it was like in these
the holodecks malfunctioning. You're like being taken to a different planet against your will, and you don't know it.
The holodecks malfunctioning. It was very interesting.
Or it's a Section 31 thing.
Who knows? And then outside of the 10 forward bar, kind of in the alleyway between the Quarks area and the 10 forward bar, they had a photo op area set up, and it was like a fake Enterprise D bridge set. So they had the like horseshoe, and then they had one chair. They just had the captain's chair set up, and then they had like a step and repeat background that looked like the back of the bridge. That one is the one where we took all kinds of photos, including very queer coded photos of us not sitting right in the chair at all.
Of course.
Like,
yeah. So gotta have that.
Yeah. So that was, yeah. That was the Star Trek one. If they do it again, it would be they have so much to work with that they could do DS9. They could do anything. Yeah. And it was very cool. And like I said, the actors did a really good job. The other stuff that was really, really great, the D&D was similar in the sense of you are walking through an immersive experience, and you are sort of interacting, but you're more watching like a play style going on. And basically it's a very short campaign, and the two main actors that are leading your groups are the ones trying to like defeat the dragon and the whatever else that was going on. And you get to interact a little bit if they ask you to do something. But other than that, it was just like watching like a play. Like it was and you're moving from room to room to room like you would on a D&D board almost, right?
Yeah, okay.
That sounds a lot like 20-Sided Tavern, except you sat in an audience, which was I don't know if it was off Broadway or Broadway, but we went to see it after seeing the Madison Square Garden Dimension 20 show. The next day we saw another D&D show because we're such nerds, and it's not in New York City anymore. It's touring, but it is like they would often have at least one guest actor who's usually like some nerdy celebrity.
Oh, that's nice.
Whether it was like Erika Ishii or like we went when Neil Newbon was there, who's the voice actor of Astarion from Baldur's Gate 3, and it was like you got like in your program, like I got rogue, and then other people got like mage and stuff, and then that impacted who you helped roll for by like going on an app on your phone, and
Harmony
like,
gets it.
Box.
Yeah.
And it was so it sounds kind of like 20-Sided Tavern, which if it tours near anybody, I recommend. It's very fun.
Yeah, it was like that. You're like divided up into the different groups of the
Yeah,
basic
that's
style of.
fun.
We were the fighters and the warriors or something. I don't remember exactly what we were. But I will say, like, the makeup on them was the costume makeup and the special effects, like the prosthetics and stuff that they did on the characters was so good. That was so well
Yeah.
done.
What kind
And so
of
that was fun.
Sorry, I need more details. Prosthetics. What kind?
Like the woman that we had, she had horns going up,
Nice.
which were really, really cool. Again, a lot of it I'm drawing a blank because a lot of it was so like visually overwhelming.
Yeah.
I mean, it was stimulating, overwhelming, but you're just like, oh my God, there's so much to look at. Where do I look? Right.
Yeah.
And then the set pieces were really good. Like at one point you're in a tavern. At one point you're in like a wooded area. Another point you're like in I want to say like a town square alleyway thing, if I got it correct. But there was definitely one that was like a tavern, which was really, really cool.
Nice.
And so that was very similar. That one you had to go down to the backlot area to kind of go to that. And I think they used
That's how D&D is. We hide in the basement.
Yeah. You like walked down and around and whatever. And that was really, really cool. They also had a D&D bar, like this specialty bar that had different drinks and snacks and things like that, which was great. Randy had gone previously, and so he hadn't gone to that bar. So we made sure that we went, and we got some like crazy, fizzy, bubbly looking drinks. I don't know. He posted on his social media the drink and the snack that he got. And then the fate, I will say this is sad. Like Star Trek was the reason why we went, and I loved it for sure. Again, the favorite thing I loved about the Star Trek was the set pieces and everything. Again, only because I wish we could have had time to interact in the set, right?
Yeah.
That we could have taken more photos, touch more things, whatever, like really interact, sit in the different chair, whatever. They just wouldn't let you do that. So the thing that I actually surprisingly really, really enjoyed was the Back to the Future experience. So they took over the Universal Backlot Tour, the trams, and that was your way to get to the Back to the Future experience. What they did was they took the area of the backlot where the clock tower is, where they actually filmed the movie, and they recreated 1955 Hill Valley. And so they had in that town square, they had the clock tower was there. They had like a setup for Doc Brown's house or his lab. And that's where like the DeLorean was, so you could take photos. And then they had in front of the high school, they had a stage built and they made it look like the Enchantment Under the Sea dance. And then they had like the car wash, and they had a barbershop quartet style singing group right there. They had on the street, they had like a street fair going on. And then in the center square, they had it all decorated like it was some sort of street fair style thing. And as you're going, so you go like you're going to go on the studio tour ride, you get on the little tram. And as you're going, Doc Brown comes on the screen and talks about how we're going to take you back in time to 1955. And they were like, so you may see some very familiar faces like Marty and myself and George McFly and other people. And they said, please interact with them, ask them questions, follow them around. Just don't let them know that you're from the future. And you could stay down there as long as you wanted.
That's
so
nice.
When you got down there, you got dropped off, and walking into the town square, they had like the Lion Estate billboard and the entryway that hasn't really been built to the Lion Estates, the like actual cement looking two sides of the street. So that was like that was another like photo op section. And then you walk into the actual city square, the little town square, and it is like you are transported back in time. Like they did such a great job with it. And then I will say this, the actors that they had playing the characters, oh my goodness, because you had to know this, like the actual play, right? And it was about a 20-30 minute loop of the things that happened leading up to the lightning strike, the day of the lightning strike, to send Marty back in time. That's the like play of it, right? So you have some stuff that's going on prior. You have Doc Brown trying to figure out how he's going to actually make it work to send the lightning down to get to into the car, all these things. And then you have like the dance, right? The enchantment under the sea dance. And it was on like a 20 or 30 minute loop. But you have these actors interacting with people that know the film probably inside and out. So they have to improv according to whatever's being asked or whatever they're doing, or if another character comes in and interrupts them. So like Biff and his side buddy would go and be a menace, right? They would go and pick on George McFly, and then they would go to the street fair, and like there was like a kid trying to hit one of the like hammer on the whatever it is, the little thing that shoots up and hits the bell. Yeah. And he like whatever that is. The Biff character came up and was like, "What are you doing?" You know, like, "Let me show you how it's done." You know, whatever. Like literally, like took the thing away out of the kid's hand, and then kids like, Biff! Like it was because the kid knew the movie too. Like it was so interesting how people interacted. So when we got down there, they had already kind of started the loop, and we did see George, but he was just on the side streets. Doc Brown and Marty were talking at the clock tower, and then Marty like he leaves. So Doc is there, and he's trying to like mathematically figure out how to make this work. So he's like, what are we going to do? Supposedly the lightning is going to strike the clock tower, but there's no storm in sight. Like, I don't know, but we need to like get the electricity down somehow to the street. How are we going to do this? So there's a bunch of people standing around. And I don't know if somebody mentioned like maybe some wire or some cable, like, whatever. So he's like, oh, great. Does anybody have any wire or cable? And we're like, and so
pulls out phone chargers.
Yeah, he's like going through the whole thing, and then he's like, okay, well, where should we put it? Like, there's a tree here and a tree here. Do we think that, like, I don't know, that the foliage is gonna cause a problem at all? Like, I don't know. Should we check which tree is gonna work? So we're basically just following Doc around in front of the thing, and then he asks for some volunteers. Once he figures out that like he's going to have some cable going from the clock tower down to like a lamp post and then over to the other lamp post, right? And then he did ask, like, once he figured all that out, he's like, what am I missing? What am I missing? And somebody goes, well, like, how fast does the car have to go? And he's like, that's a great question. He's like, what do you think? Like, how fast, like, what's a good number? And somebody goes, I don't know, like 88 miles an hour. And he's like, 88, that's a really good. He's like pretending to do math, right? And he's like, yeah, I think that'll work. I think people are going to remember that number for years to come. Like, yeah, and the actor didn't have to say any of that.
That's so funny.
And so he asks for like, he's like, I need people, like, I got to see this visually. Like, who wants to be the wire? So like, some people are volunteering, and they're just like standing next to each other and like hooking up their arms to pretend to be this wire. Somebody's the lamppost.
So
whatever.
Funny.
I know.
Hey, if a mad scientist asks you to be their wire, though, in real life, don't do it.
Don't do it.
You're going to get electrocuted.
I just need to be very clear. I will. I'm just.
Oh, yeah. So he asked, he's like, I need somebody to be the flux capacitor. I'm like, I'll do it.
Yes.
So I like run over there, and I'm like standing like this, right? Like my arms are out like the Y, and I'm like,
I don't know why that's a bisexual thing to do, but it is. Like, there's something bisexual about the flux capacitor.
That's hilarious.
Some bisexual icon, the flux capacitor.
And then he was like, I need somebody to be the like hook that's going to hook onto the wire. So Randy jumps in. So Randy's like, he like stands in front of me, right? So I'm like the car, the flux capacitor, and he stands and he's like got his hand like up like this. So he's, like standing like that. And like we recreate how this is going to happen with everybody just standing around. It was ridiculous. And then he's like, wait, where's and then clearly there must have been a timing thing. And he goes, wait, where's Marty? He's supposed to be like getting to the car. And we turn. And by this point, the band had started, they had been playing. And we turn and we look and he's like, wait, why is Marty up on stage? So you can see over at the like Enchantment Under the Sea dance. And they start doing Johnny Be Good.
To this.
They do John. It was so good.
Amazing.
And there's people dancing. Like, it was great. So we run over there and we're watching the Johnny Be Good thing. And then when you get to the point of where in the movie that it's actually going to happen, where the lightning's going to strike, everybody goes and stands in front of the clock tower and they show clips from the movie of it. And then there's like lighting effects. And they have like a pyrotechnics thing that goes off when the lightning strikes and whatever else. And then Doc Brown comes out of the clock tower and he's all like, yeah, it worked, whatever. And then off to the side, when you were done, you went and looked. It's always there, but I just hadn't seen it. There are 2 tire tracks that are lit up on fire and a little license plate that's spinning. And they had it marked off and roped off so you could take a photo up with it again. But it was so cool in how they had this whole like immersive 360 full experience happening. And then once it was done, there was a slight little like break. And then they started the loop of all the things again, right? So the Barbershop Quartet starts singing Mr. Sandman and some other songs. Goldie Wilson is out on the street. Yeah,
a dream that never did dream.
Exactly.
Dream,
Goldie Wilson was out,
and dream. Sorry,
it's okay. And I got so excited because Randy had told me that a lot of people would ask Goldie about like, have you ever thought about running for office? Things like that. So we go over, and I was like, Goldie Wilson? Like, we knew who it was, right?
Right.
And he's like, hey, folks, how you doing? And he goes, oh, where are you from? And we're like, California? Like, we didn't know what to say. And he's like, oh, are you from like another town over? And we're like, yeah, another town over. And he's like, oh, from like River Valley? We're like, yep, that's it, River Valley. Let's go with that. We're from River Valley. And he goes, yeah, we figured because of the accent. And we like looked at each other like, okay.
Never seen anybody dressed like that over in River Valley.
We're like, okay, sure, whatever. There was like Principal Strickland was there, like giving people, calling people slackers, giving detentions. Oh, it was good. And then like that's when we saw Biff and his side buddy and George McFly, and Lorraine came out and was like with a friend of hers like running around the street. And then Doc and Marty start up again over at the clock tower. And basically we didn't stay through a whole nother round, but we stayed pretty long just to be able to see all of it. Because again, it was recreated where they filmed the movie, which was very, very, very cool. Yeah, and you could, awesome. Like I said, you could stay as long as you wanted. You could interact. You could ask questions. You weren't really allowed to touch anything that the actors actually were carrying or using unless they allowed you to, which was fine, but you were just interacting with everybody. There was like food and like I said, the little street fair you could actually participate in, you could actually do. And then whenever you were done, you just walked away and you got in line for the tram and went back up. And I will say this, that's the reason why I think that was my favorite part, was just because you got to spend as much time in there. It was a very immersive experience. And we did see the like A team of actors versus the B team of actors. And clearly the A team of actors looked very closely to the characters and did a really great job. And then like as we were leaving, I was talking to Randy and I said, if they ever do this again, next time they should recreate Hill Valley as 2015 from Back to the Future 2 and have like the hoverboard scene.
That would be sick.
So we'll see. I don't actually know what they're going to do, but it was very, very cool. So that was,
they probably would do
a lot of time. That was like 20 minutes of our time, but there you go. Yeah. That was the fan experience. And I will say, if they do it again, I do want to encourage people. I know it's a lot to travel to come out here if you don't live here, but it was worth it. And we bought the ticket
I'd like to go.
that like let us into the park at 2:00. And then you got to go to some of the stuff early. And even to the point that once the general population left the theme park, we went to some of the other rides and it was walk on. We walked on to the Jurassic Park ride. We walked onto the Mummy ride, like all these other normal rides that you'd have to wait for forever. We just got to walk on because it was just the people for the theme night at night.
Yeah.
It was way less people. So but you can like go for the whole day if you want to go for the whole day, but it was great. And they stayed open till 2 a.m., which was nuts. And at first, Randy and I are like, oh yeah, we're not going to go that whole time. We left at 1 because we were just having fun. So it was definitely worth it. And the tickets weren't crazy expensive to be able to get into the park. So that was nice. Yeah.
That's rad.
So there you go.
That all just remind, like, I don't know. Every time I think about like, ooh, I should do this new thing, I think about how little time I have in my life already. Because like roller derby is the center of my life now, and it takes up four, sometimes 5 days of my week. And I don't like I'm making that choice. It's not like that's being foisted upon me or anything like that. But that like those sorts of immersive experiences like that, like I've always thought it would be cool to get into LARPing.
Yes, I want to get into LARPing.
But my thing is like, just in terms of my personal preferences, for me, it would, I think for me to really enjoy it, I would probably want it to be a sci-fi LARP as opposed to like the more like fantasy type ones that are more common. And that's like not a knock on it. It's just like my personal preference for like setting and stuff. I just tend to like sci-fi settings more so than fantasy settings. Obviously we can have a very complex philosophical discussion about the difference between sci-fi and fantasy. It's not as much as you think is the TLDR of that discussion.
Steampunk also.
But steampunk
LARPs. And then also there's Vampire the Masquerade, which is the only LARP I've been able to do, which was a lot of fun.
There's one, the name is escaping me. I was like, I had like a rare day, like entirely free. And I think my girlfriend was even like not in the house. She was like hanging out with some friends or something like that. And so I was just like at home by myself with nothing to do, which never happens. And so it's like, what am I going to do with my time? And I looked it up, and apparently there is a LARP that is essentially like Battlestar Galactica, but with a different name and with like, it's like off-brand Battlestar Galactica. Like the setting is the same, and like, you know, the robots killed a bunch of the humans and you're like spread in this fleet trying to survive, but it's not licensed or anything like that. And so all the names for everything are different, but the setting is essentially the same. And I saw a video of this LARP group. I think it was in Germany. I think it was in Germany.
Stuff in Germany.
Where they actually had like
in Germany.
They actually had like a decommissioned Navy warship that they were able to rent. And so they had like the situation room and the bridge and all of that stuff. And so they were actually like on a ship, and they had the galley, and it was a whole thing. There's also a thing that I think there is a version of this in London. Have either of you heard of the game Artemis?
No.
Okay, so this is kind of like a Star Trek but not Star Trek RPG type thing. I actually found out about this, I think, at a Cincinnati Comic-Con, which is interesting because those are, and again, not a knock on it. It's just like I went thinking it would be a con like the ones we go to where there's like a lot of stuff there. And this one was almost exclusively focused on literally just like comic books and anime, which is great, just not the center of my fandom. And so I was very excited to find this group there running Artemis, which is a game that like you run from a central server, and then there are, I think, 5 different stations. So like if you're familiar with Star Trek Bridge Crew, it's a similar thing. And so like you have like 5 different people on 5 different computers, and they all have jobs. There's like the helmsman and the weapons officer and the engineer and the communications officer, and you do missions. And people set up these whole things. Like you can set up like a projector, so you've got like a view screen, and then you have the captain whose job it is to give orders, and you have to figure out like, you know, are you going to let your crew just like do their thing? Are you going to wait for them to like, are you going to like make them wait like follow orders, and it's also, I think, I don't know if it's actually open source, but it's very open in terms of like people making mods for it. And there are people who will like plug in hardware, so like if there's a red alert, there's actually lights that go off. They like actually make it an immersive experience. And that's like a thing that I keep thinking to myself, when roller derby is not a thing one can do forever. But when that slows down a little bit, I think it would be so fun to set up some kind of like weekend long immersive experience like that, where you're like a crew on a ship and you're not just doing a mission, but you're like hanging out and doing crew things. So there's like downtime where you can interact, and you can like fully play a character like you would in a LARP, where you've got your own backstory and all of that sort of stuff. I don't have the time or energy or expertise, frankly, to set something up like that myself. But God, that would be so much fun to take part in.
That would be cool.
There's a LARP, like a pseudo LARP event happening happening tomorrow in a town near me. And I want to go so freaking badly, but unfortunately, I have rehearsal.
Oh no.
And I was like, part of me was like, what if I just say I can't go to rehearsal? But I was like, you can't do that. You're not.
You
you're
have
not
a
that
part.
person.
You can't.
For those that don't know, I'm playing Nicholas Bottom in Midsummer Night's Dream, aka the big ol' comedic relief character that gets turned into a donkey.
Donkey. I love that so much.
Yeah, there's a lot of ass jokes. It's very fun.
You wanna like give us a little bit of your lines?
Oh yeah, I totally have those memorized. I'm not gonna grab my script right now or anything silly like that. Listen, I'm
not put you on the spot or anything.
I know. Listen, we've only really had our read through, so shit. I mean,
okay, I need to be very clear. It is so okay for you to just say no. I'm not ready for that. It is very okay.
It's totally fine.
Okay, well, there's a whole bit where, like, when they're first introduced, they're basically the community theater troupe, him and his, like, buddies, where they're, like, told, oh, the Duke wants us to perform a play at his wedding. They don't realize that it's, like, they've been asked because it was such a bad play and so ridiculous that it's, like, so bad it's good. And so... Nope. So like they're comedically a terrible acting troupe, but they're all, when you actually look at it, it's like they're all like blue collar laborers. Like my character's a weaver and stuff. So they're just a community acting troupe doing their best. But Nick Bottom, my character, like genuinely thinks he's the best actor, and he's not. and like in fairness, in a lot of productions I've seen, in his troupe, he might be.
Oh,
like okay.
It's like a whole thing where like they're like kind of like, oh, we don't know if there's going to be a wall there for like this for the characters to speak through, and he decides that the wall should then be a character. He's like, some man or other must present wall, and let him have some plaster or some loam or some rough cast about him to signify wall. Or let him hold his fingers thus, and through that cranny shall Pyramus and Thisbe whisper. Like that's the kind of shit he does. He's like, now in fairness to him, he's problem solving. Like, what I like about him as a character is he's so enthusiastic. And honestly, having done so much community theater, that's half the battle.
Yeah.
Like, but he is bad. And then I was gonna say spoilers, but like this is from like the 1600s.
I was gonna say I think we're a little bit past any sort of spoiler containment. I think you're good.
So and then Oberon, King of the Fairies, and Titania, Queen of the Fairies, are having a marital spat, and so Oberon uses this like love drug to make it so that way when Titania wakes up, whatever creature she sees, she'll fall in love with. And he's like, to like teach her a lesson. It's problematic. Um, and then since Bottom is alone in the woods, Puck, who works for Oberon, turns Bottom into a donkey. So that way it's more ridiculous. And then it's like this whole bit where he doesn't know that he's been turned into a donkey, and all of his friends ran away from him because they're like, what's happening? I'm terrified. And he's kind of like, oh, you're playing a prank on me. Like, you're trying to make an ass of me. And like, there's a lot of jokes about ass and that. And then they all run away. And then Titania wakes up, and it's like this whole thing. It's very comedic. And then Titania just kind of wakes up and is like, oh my goodness, who is this sweet creature? And even he's like, what? like she like has this bit where she's just like, I'm in love with you, and he says something like, you have little reason to do that, lady. Like, and it's such a great, like, he's just kind of like, even I think that's weird.
Sorry, I don't know if you heard the background. That was a motorcycle driving past very fast, and I did not have time to mute.
Wow, they must be so cool.
I know. They feel the need to go so fast. It's also only 10:45 here, so the city is not awake yet because it's not time for brunch. So the roads are basically clear. Welcome to Los Angeles.
Because it's not time for brunch yet.
No, that is correct.
I know. It's just very funny.
I know. Like, if I want to go to the grocery store, I go now.
It's so funny because, like, being the city I have the most experience with is when I lived in New York City. And it's like, that's a city that when people say like it never sleeps, it never sleeps. Like, like certainly there are things close for sure. And there's like times where like the people who are out change. The vibes shift. But like the thing is, like, you can do mostly anything at any time. And when I tell you, even though I only lived there for 2 years, you get so accustomed to that. I would be like, oh, I wasn't hungry at like 8 and now everything's closed. It's 10 o'clock. Why can't I get food? I get so like weirdly like annoyed.
Yeah.
It's like so entitled.
It's not a thing here.
My brain. Yeah, in New York, but like New York City brain has made me just be like, everything should be open 24 hours.
I mean, honestly,
my brain is like it would be job creation.
Well, and this is, you know, this is just not a world we live in anymore. And in some ways it's better. But I mean, I even remember just being a teenager and late teens, early 20s, like I'm out late, like, oh, I could just like, I want a snack. I could just go to Walmart. They're open 24 hours. And that's like not really a thing that much anymore.
Oh.
Which, like, to be clear, I don't actually think that it's a bad thing that that's changed necessarily, because you know, I know third shift works for some people, but I know a lot of people work third shift because they have to, not because they want to. And I did for like 2 weeks, and I lasted approximately no, it was a week. I lasted a week working third shift. Just wasn't for me.
I think that with the push to basically get rid of jobs and automate everything, that should be put on the shifts that nobody wants, not on taking away jobs for people. Which could, you know, and then also, I also think we can't forget the fact that like we have theoretically 3 million less American workers in this country than we would have without COVID and the Trump administration, because of one, COVID killed it was like at least 1 million American workers, and then it was like we had 2 million less expected immigrants because of a combination of Trump's immigration policies in his first term and the and just COVID making it so less people were moving. And we went from people being like, oh, we got to create more jobs, to like there's all the people complaining, nobody wants to work anymore. It's like, no, it's actually an employee's job market for the first time in a while. But the owners aren't really recognizing that and adjusting accordingly.
Yeah, I saw a really fun graphic where people had compared different versions of the like no one wants to work anymore thing starting back in like the 1930s. It was just like a different version of that for each decade.
Yeah.
Because people, everyone thinks that that's a new sentiment when they come up with it. It's very funny.
I think there's even a line in like, I don't remember what Shakespeare play, but there's definitely a line in the Shakespeare play where someone's just, where like it's a joke that one guy's like, can't find good help anymore. And it's kind of like, no, dude, you're a shitty boss. Like in like Shakespeare, it's so
can't abuse my employees anymore. What does the world come to?
Yeah. And it's like, certainly you can in Shakespeare's era.
I mean, you still can now in so many ways. It's
Yeah.
great.
Oh, for sure. It's not hard. It's gotten easier. Thanks, Trump. Anyway. A friend of mine for my birthday as a joke gift got me a Obama plushie to hug when Trump makes new announcements.
So like hugging it all the time.
Low key.
Anyway.
I was just like, oh, okay. Guess we're here.
That's cute though. That's really cute though.
Yeah. Talking about gay things and Shakespeare.
Gay things. That doesn't narrow it down. there are 3 gay things on this call.
I don't know if I talked about it on stream before, but there's the first production I got to find. I've been a fan of Midsummer Night's Dream for years, but I hadn't ever gotten to see it. And there was and then I got to see it Stratford, Ontario production that was so beautifully gay. That Titania, Queen of the Fairies, was played by a drag queen. They had, for those that don't know, there's one character, Hermia, and there's 2 guys that are into her. There's Lysander and Demetrius, and even though she's in love with Lysander, her father wants her to marry Demetrius, and according to the laws, like, he's their dad, so she's his property. So she has to fall in love with Demetrius, and then she and Lysander run away together. It's like a whole bit. And in the show, they made it so Lysander was a woman. So it added the element of like why the dad doesn't approve. Because there's no real reason given in the show. Because they're like of the same money, same caliber, but he just prefers Demetrius. So then having Lysander be a woman, it was like, oh, the dad's homophobic. And that added a really good, it was actually Tara Rosling who played the Vulcan president in Discovery, who played Lysander when I saw it, and she was fantastic. And nice. Yeah, it was really cool. So I remember when she was first in the show, I was like, why is she so familiar to me? And then I looked her up and I was like, oh my God. And then, yeah, so they had that. And they also, and so like, cause there's a bit where Puck uses the love potion. He's supposed to put love potion in Demetrius's eyes to make him fall. Lots of love potion stuff happens, but he accidentally puts it in Lysander's eyes. And it's supposed to be like, well, your instructions were to find an Athenian man, and like I found a dude that was in Athenian garb. So it's like, but so what they did was Lysander's in the woods with Hermia, and so he has like a full tent roll, so that way she's fully zipped up. So Puck's just like, that's an Athenian with short hair, that must be an Athenian man, kind of thing. And then they added in a line of he's like, you told me, when he's like basically explaining to Oberon, like, no, I didn't mess up. Like, you told me an Athenian man, and Oberon just goes, man, so angrily. And it was such a good addition. It was so beautiful. It was such a beautifully gay performance. It was, and the whole framing device they did of the production was that it was a bunch of friends putting on a show of Midsummer for their friend's wedding, and it was a gay couple that got wedding. It was very sweet. I loved it.
I love that for you.
They also had Hermia's father, Hermia's father's Aegeus? Okay. Signing all his lines because the actor couldn't speak. So
Oh,
he
hell yeah.
signed
That's cool.
Shakespeare entirely.
Okay,
And they
that's
had
cool.
an interpreter interpreting, and the interpreter was a great actor too, because you can tell the interpreter doesn't agree with the hateful things he's saying, but he has to interpret faithfully.
Amazing.
And
Sure, yeah.
it was such a good element. It was so good.
That's good.
Anyway, I love Shakespeare, and you can make it so gay.
Are you sure?
Oh, for
I
sure.
It was gay in the beginning because it was all men.
That's correct.
So
Ursa-
many Shakespeare plays have cross-dressing. Anyway.
No. I was gonna say, Ursa, what have you been up to? What gay things have you been up to? We all talked about our other nerd gay things.
Just so much roller derby. That's
fair.
I'm in my
Checks off both boxes.
yeah.
Most gay.
I'm in that era. When was it a tournament in Pittsburgh last weekend? I've got a home game against St. Louis next week, and then a tournament in June. Hopefully, North American qualifiers, which is like the men's roller derby version of playoffs, in August. Hopefully, we get to go to champs in October. So yeah, just lots happening there. Doing my best to get better.
Yay.
Nursing.
Where would like where would playoffs and championships and all that stuff be?
Qualifiers are in Maine.
Okay.
And champs are in Salem, Oregon.
Where's that?
Salem, Oregon. It's like 30, 40 minutes south of Portland.
Oh.
Oh.
So West Coast. Oh,
yeah,
okay. So
yeah. I'm also currently, I'm not going to show it on screen because it's very, very nasty. I'm currently nursing the largest, gnarliest bruise I've ever had in my life. Actually makes it a little bit difficult to sit because it's like right in the area between my hip and my butt. And it is, so like, actually thinking about it, looking at it on screen, it's about the size of my face. And just take that and put it on the space between my hip and my butt. As my skate came out from under me, and I just no, I'm sitting on my office chair. My office chair is kind of soft, but it's not hurting.
Being a girl growing up in the sticks, almost every girl I knew did horse riding lessons.
Oh yeah.
I didn't because my dad's allergic, and also I wasn't that interested. Horses are great, but I was like, that thing is huge. I don't want to die. And then you could tell who had just started getting into horseback riding because there'd be girls just bringing in little pillows to sit on. Because when you first get into it, like, you get so sore.
Yeah.
It was that to me, I realized a couple years ago, I was like, oh, that wasn't like a normal experience for people in school, that just like 5 girls just come in with pillows.
No.
Oh, I'm also on a re-listen of the second book in the 3 Body Problem series. Which sci-fi fans, I cannot recommend this series highly enough. There is some real weird misogyny in it. That's the caveat that I have to give. And it is maybe not the most happy view of humanity and human society, maybe a little cynical. But just the depth of the concepts in terms of like game theory and philosophy and survival, and like if you like the DS9 version of like yes, ethics are great, but what good are ethics if literally all of you are dead? That is maybe one way one could describe many of the conflicts at the heart of the 3 Body Problem series. Like that it's more than that, but that dynamic is very present. And I'm on a listen through of it again, and it's I tend to be a sucker for world building, which is, I mean, it's one reason I like Star Trek, is because, you know, the world is vast, and I am finding myself attracted to things that have kind of a space opera type feel, like universes that feel very, very large. And the 3 Body Problem series takes place over the course in one, you could argue it takes place over the course of like 18 million years.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So it's big, and the ideas are very interesting, and there's lots of really good philosophy, and it's complicated and it's mysterious. So yeah, it's a lot. Like it is. Oh my God, it's so much. There is a
Yeah.
lot. There are 3 very long books, and there's a 4th one too that is like a spinoff that I have not read yet.
Yeah, I haven't read any of the books. I did watch the first season of the Netflix series, which I freaking loved. And of course,
Yeah.
Rosalind Chow. I mean, come
Yep.
on.
I love Rosalind.
But
And
I did
shockingly, the series is very satisfying in comparison to the books. Like,
that's what a lot of people have said. And a lot of other people that have read the books or what listened to them have actually said it sometimes it's actually easier in some ways to do an audiobook just because like I knew someone that was like when they were reading the book, they were like,
Mhm.
I was reading and then I would have to go back because they would talk
Oh,
about
yeah.
something. I'm like, wait a minute. And because there's so much. And so they had said, I switched to the audiobook and it was a little bit more helpful. And they said, even to
Yep.
the point that they were like, had the book and the, like at the same time. And I was like, okay. But yeah, everyone I know that has actually read or listened to the books has said the books are phenomenal.
Yeah, and I am so not the like the book is better than the TV show kind of gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Like I am very, very happy to like all of the things. And of course there is so much more in the books than what's in the TV series. But I think the TV series does a really good job of finding the most important parts and doing them well and sticking close enough to the story that a lot of the heart and the core of what they're trying to get at is there.
Yeah.
I've also recently found out, I didn't know this until I think like 2 or 3 weeks ago, that there is a Chinese TV adaptation that and I need to go figure out how I can find it. That's like 66 episodes or something like that. And I there was like just like a couple of forum posts that I read where people were saying it was also very good.
Yeah. Melissa or Milagro, if you're watching, can you figure that out for us? Because I know you can figure that out. Also, can I plug, like, for anyone who wants to read the books or do audiobooks, go to your public library. I need to go renew my library card, right? And there are apps that will like sync with your library and you can read the ebooks and you can do the audiobooks and you don't have to pay for it. And we can save the libraries and not go through Amazon. Let's do that.
Yes.
I'm actually going to my local library's fundraising cocktail party tonight.
Love that.
So that's another thing too. If you're like missing community events and like social interaction and that stuff, like libraries often are the hub of community, like the community events and centers. They're even if just going to fundraising events, they often have some fun ones. And just like it's a good way to socialize and be with people who believe in libraries. Yay. People who believe in libraries, and like my dad used to be on the library board, but they do term limits, so like he didn't stay on, which is good. And our neighbor is the librarian, and it's fantastic. It's I'm very lucky that we have like 2 local libraries. Like we tend to go to the town over, and that's like our local library, but that's because we're kind of in between these 2 towns. And the one that we go to, but we go to the other one too. Like they're both great, so I love them both. Like the one that's technically in the town that's closer to me, that's where we have most of our rehearsals right now. So it's like fantastic community event in that sense, and they also will help host a summer music series, which is really great, and then of local bands. And then at the other library that I'm going to tonight, like they're very good on like having the cocktail party fundraiser and doing like movie once a week. And that library is the library that the librarian let my friends and I play D&D in the basement of the library once a week when I was a kid.
Nice.
She was just like, yeah, the one condition is just like, can you help me move some boxes? Because at the time they wanted to start using the basement for the library, but it wasn't like cleaned. So we just had like a folding card table and played, but then like we would just help move some boxes and stuff. And it was fantastic. And also like the librarian Loki, she was like, I know that like I can give you guys the key and like leave for a bit because she was like, it's just some nerds. They're not going to do anything wrong to the library. Like, so we had a great time, and it was like, yeah, and it's those community centers are so valuable. So yes, support public libraries.
Hell yeah. Well, I think that's our time, friends.
Yeah. Wait, before we go, should we just quickly talk about Pride and like what we're doing for Pride and all the fun, just all things Pride. It's because June is Pride Month. Oh, so should we talk about our own individual Pride things, or should we just talk about Lambda Quadrant Pride things?
We could do both. Hashtag why not both?
Monet Exchange is coming to Albany, so for BIPOC Pride. So, because there's Albany Pride, which is very corporate, and then there's BIPOC Pride in Albany, which everyone likes better because it's better. And so I'm gonna go and see Monet Exchange, hopefully.
That'll be fun. Ursa, what are you doing for Pride? Anything besides roller derby?
Derby is really going to be the thing. I am reflecting on the fact that I have experienced and witnessed a fair amount of transphobia in roller derby this year for the first time. And I shouldn't say for the first time. And it, like, to be clear, I don't mean to say like it is rampant and everywhere and like terrible like it is in a lot of social spaces. I think on balance, it's probably the most happy place to be trans that I've experienced, but that doesn't mean that it's free from the bad things. And I have had to do a lot of fighting this year to keep those kinds of folks out of the derby spaces that I'm in. And I am very lucky that the people who run the leagues that I play for take it very seriously and like act right and take action when presented. And so I want to make sure that it's clear that like those folks in particular have been really, really great to me.
Yeah.
And I'm super, super grateful. But the fact of like having to have those fights at all is really exhausting, and I hate it a lot. And June in particular is a month where I've just got a lot of playing that I'm going to be doing.
Okay.
And it is it's kind of the at least in my head that's kind of like part of the payoff is like having to do all of that work in holding people accountable and trusting in the folks and leadership on the teams that I play for, and thankfully having that trust justified. And so playing throughout June for me is just going to feel like a lot of the payoff of that kind of work, like knowing that those spaces are going to be just like a little bit safer because of the things that we have been doing. So it's going to be a lot of that, and just continuing to be unapologetically queer and trans in the sport that is supposed to be for those things. So that's mostly it. The day of Cincinnati Pride this year, actually I have a game in Indianapolis, and so I won't be and I haven't gone to Cincinnati Pride in a couple of years, not because it's like it's not like problematic or bad in any way that I'm aware of. Just I tend to like more intimate community gathering type things, as opposed to like I like big parties and celebrations. I'm very glad that they happen, and I like taking part in them sometimes myself too. But I think what has been the experiences that have been the most transformative and healing for me along those lines have actually been I play with I don't want to call it a pickup team because that makes it sound unimportant, but there's a roller derby team, Trans Rollers United, that I play for.
Side quest team.
Side quest. That's good. And it's not like we don't get together and practice. There's not like a regular season. It's just like we're a collective of folks. And when there's an event, we sign up, a roster is made, and those of us that get rostered go, and people go to coach and volunteer and do announcing and all that sort of stuff. And first of all, playing in those games, every single one of those games is a dream come true. Like being on a roster with all other trans folks playing the sport. I'm like, probably here I'm choking up now just thinking about it. But getting to do that with those kind of folks, like knowing what it is like right now to be a trans athlete in the US, and being like, not only am I going to have like my trans teammates that I love on my home teams, because I do have those and they're wonderful and I adore them, but that to then be like show up and play on a roster of like literally all of us, coaches and players, are trans.
That's cool.
And then in the moments after that, like going back to the Airbnb and being able to just be openly who we are and have like big old gay snuggle pile on the living room floor of the Airbnb, taking over Waffle House with all the green hair and pronouns, like just, yeah, absolutely incredible. And so I think what I am probably going to be doing is trying to like seek out and create and cultivate those more sort of like intimate group experiences, what, you know, getting together to watch game footage, getting together to watch movies, or just like hang out and have snacks and play games. Like I think that's probably this year going to be more my vibe than the big party type things, just because I feel like that's what's a little more healing for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. I don't have a plan yet.
Hell yeah.
I know. Part of it is because your girl's now fully employed, like full-time employed. So very busy. I'm like super, very busy with work stuff. However, I cannot say who this is, but keep an eye. So I worked for a company called Pressed Juicery, Pressed. We are collabing with a drag queen. I cannot tell you who, but I am so freaking excited for June. And then also I was asked to be featured on our Instagram as one of the queer employees to highlight. So each week they will highlight a different LGBTQ employee. So I have to like answer my questions and like find a photo or take a photo. I'm like, I gotta do that. So that's part of the Pride, but the actual like activities of Pride here for the LA Pride, like LA Pride, it's big. Like you said, there's a lot of people. I've never actually gone to the parade here just because it is a lot of people.
Parades give me crowd anxiety. I don't do them.
Yeah, it's a lot. And you know, traffic here is already bad. So, and I don't know. So I don't actually know if I'll go. I might. If, you know, I'm sure I have many people around me that would be willing to go with me. However, I had a side quest on my recent family cruise. Side note, I went on a cruise with my family, the same boat that the Star Trek cruise was when it went out of LA, just no Star Trek stuff. It was very, very weird. I was like, no, it's not. I know where I'm at, but I don't know where I'm at.
It's not no tribbles?
Yeah, correct. Nothing is Star Trek themed. So I was like, no, I don't know.
It's very weird. Doesn't sound real.
Very weird. Yeah. So they had an unofficial LGBTQ meetup. It was like official, unofficial, like it was on the official list or the schedule, but it was self-led. So So I went a couple of nights when my nieces went to bed early, and I met some fabulous mostly gay men. But somebody that I met is also a drag queen. She is fabulous. Her name is Envy. She's a Palm Springs drag queen, and she does drag brunch. So I have my friend Lisa and we talked about going down there at some point to Palm Springs to actually go to one of the drag brunches in June. I recently saw her do a show here in WeHo last weekend. It was phenomenal. She did Janet Jackson drag, and on Janet Jackson's birthday, it was fabulous.
So good.
Yeah. So like that. So again, I think like you said, or so like smaller group activities, right? So with my friends, just picking different, because there's so many around the city and the surrounding area that you can go and do this queer thing. Like, so it might just be like picking and choosing some different things to go do. And again, just like, even when we went to WeHo, in my own way, being more unapologetically queer in how I dress, that feels good for me. Like, that's one of the things that I'm trying to embrace. I know I have a lot of, as many people do, I'm very self-conscious about my body, but just trying to be more open and how I feel comfortable in doing so. And then, of course, the thing that I am super excited about, which we can announce now, we just don't have a date or any programming set particularly or times or anything, because that's how we roll. But this year, friends, is the 5th anniversary of Lambda Quadrant doing Holocon for Pride. Yay! So we're going to do Holocon in June. We don't have a date yet because that's how we roll. We don't exactly know the times yet because that's how we roll. But we will have fabulous content like we always do. We'll have a variety of panels, fun things, more like in-depth conversation style stuff. We will try to see if some of our friends are available, like maybe the Sci-Fi Sisters, or perhaps Sue from Women at Warp, or I don't know, just other people that we will ask. I'm like calling them out now. I mean, like, hi, yeah, you have to come on.
Plot twist, we get Patrick Stewart.
Daddy!
Listen, if he wants to come on, he's allowed. I just don't think he wants to.
No, I will rip him a new one. No, do not, no. Yeah,
that's right. He's afraid. That's the narrative we should push. He's too afraid to come on Lambda Quadrant.
That's correct. So yeah, I am super. Oh, and then we can actually. So I do believe we have agreed that during HoloCon, we will fully announce what we are doing for Vegas. Like that's going to be the big reveal. Some of that will be, and I'll talk to Randy to pull like the best photos, but we'll pull some of the photos that we had from the FanFest night in our like queer stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Very, very stoked.
Yeah, so keep an eye out. June. We will announce it in advance, far more so than we normally do, of like 2 days. We promise. We have to, because we have to actually have the schedule sets. Yeah.
All right, friends.
Very
well,
clear
that's
thing.
the thing.
I feel like
Yeah.
Yeah.
This will be great.
We're doing great.
All righty.
Well, thanks for hanging, friends. We'll see you next time.
Bye.